Nothing in your life is random. Every meeting, delay, and sudden thought is a verse from the unseen. Ibn Arabi said the real speaks through creation. Not in words but through moments. When something stirs your heart without reason, it is not coincidence, it is remembrance disguised as timing. The world is a mirror, reflecting divine messages through everything you call ordinary. And when the heart becomes still enough to listen, even silence begins to speak His name. There is a hidden hand that moves through every breath of existence, unseen yet undeniable. It does not force, it guides. It does not speak, it arranges. Ibn Arabi said that nothing in creation moves without purpose. Even a falling leaf is turning exactly where the real has decreed. What you call coincidence is that hand, gently shaping the pattern of your story in silence. Every step you take is already known, every pause already placed. You are not walking through chaos, but through a design written in mercy before time began. When you feel delayed, it is not the path that has stopped. It is the hand waiting for your heart to catch up. The real never forgets the destination He chose for you. Each detour you despise is a curve drawn by wisdom unseen. The mind sees interruption, but the soul sees correction. What looks like uncertainty is the tenderness of divine precision, guiding you back into alignment with what is meant. You do not always feel the movement of this hand because it works beneath perception. It hides in timing, in closed doors, in unexplainable turns. Ibn Arabi said that the divine plan is a conversation between the unseen and the seen, a dance so perfect that even resistance becomes part of harmony. When something you desire slips away, it is not rejection but redirection. The real removes to make room for revelation. Every human step is like ink tracing a line already drawn by eternity. You believe you are choosing, yet your choice was written within your nature before you were born. Free will and destiny are not opposites. They are reflections of the same motion seen from different sides. When you surrender, you don't lose control. You discover who was moving all along. The invisible hand is not above you, it is within you, turning every heartbeat into obedience. Sometimes the hand leads you through confusion, for light without shadow cannot teach depth. The real hides understanding until the heart learns to trust without seeing. Ibn Arabi wrote that faith is not knowing the path, but walking in darkness believing the ground will appear. When you fall, it is the hand lowering you gently into a lesson that cannot be learned from standing. To live with awareness of the hand is to stop questioning why and begin wondering how. How the infinite speaks through the finite, how the unseen arranges the seen, how stillness creates movement. Every coincidence becomes a sentence in a sacred language written across the canvas of time. The wise do not seek to translate it. They learn to listen. When despair enters, it is because you have mistaken the silence of the hand for its absence. But even in stillness, it is at work, weaving invisible connections between moments you thought unrelated. The delay of today becomes the answer of tomorrow. The closed door you cried over becomes the passage that saves you later. Nothing is wasted in the pattern of the real. The heart that sees this hand begins to relax its grip on control. It no longer argues with the rhythm of life. It learns that surrender is not weakness, but alignment. Ibn Arabi said that when the soul stops fighting what happens, it enters the peace of divine companionship. For how can you resist the one who holds your every motion in his palm? This hand is not limited by logic. It speaks through paradox, through gain that feels like loss, through endings that become beginnings. It moves silently across the tapestry of existence, turning wounds into openings, mistakes into mirrors. Each moment that confuses you is simply a verse you haven't yet learned to read. Even your longing is arranged by this hand. The things you desire most are not random. They are memories of what your soul once knew. The real places desire within you as a compass pointing back to Him. Every ache, every yearning is the echo of your origin calling you home. When you chase what you love, you are actually being led by love itself. The invisible hand often moves by removing. It takes away so that you may feel what cannot be touched. Ibni Arabi said that deprivation is the real's way of polishing perception. What you lose in form, you gain in clarity. What you release in attachment, you receive in awareness. Even loss is a tool of return. When the hand rearranges your life, it may seem like everything is falling apart, but to the mystic, this is divine architecture. Destruction is merely the first stage of redesign. The real never breaks without purpose. When the heart feels shattered, it is only being expanded to hold more light. To witness this hand is to realize that nothing ever truly happens to you. Everything happens through you. You are not the victim of events, but the stage upon which the divine performs His signs. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What is He showing me?" the entire landscape of life changes. Sometimes the hand conceals itself behind the illusion of coincidence. If you meet someone by chance, hear a word that shifts your heart, arrive at a moment you never planned, and everything changes. That is the real moving through form, disguising His mercy in the language of surprise. Nothing escapes His arrangement, not even the smallest encounter. The mystics walk slowly because they know every step is sacred. They trust the pace of the hand, knowing that rushing is a form of blindness. Each delay is the real's way of teaching you to see with patience instead of sight. When you surrender your need for speed, time itself begins to serve you. Even when you disobey, the hand guides you through your own mistakes. It does not punish, it redirects. Your errors become lessons wrapped in mercy. Ibn Arabi said that the real uses even your sins as a bridge toward remembrance, for nothing escapes His wisdom. You fall only where the hand intends to lift you. To the one who trusts, every event becomes a revelation. Rain, silence, disappointment, joy, all are messages from the same source. The invisible hand arranges both ease and hardship with equal precision. It does not distinguish between what pleases you and what shapes you. Both are necessary for awakening. The hand that moves you also moves the stars, the wind, the ocean's pulse. The same intelligence that guides galaxies arranges your smallest thought. When you see this unity, you stop separating your life from the universe. Every motion, within and without, becomes one continuous act of divine remembrance. You realize that the hand never needed to be found, only recognized. It was always there, turning you toward what you thought you were choosing, writing your prayers before you could speak them. What you call destiny is simply the handwriting of love moving through time. And when the final step arrives, when your last breath meets its first silence, the hand will still be there, unseen yet nearer than ever, lifting the veil from your eyes. You will not find a stranger waiting at the end, but the one who guided every moment, whispering softly through eternity. You never walked alone. Between the ticking of time, between one breath and the next, there are messages that never reach the ear, speak directly to the soul. Ibn Arabi said that Allah's signs are not always loud or miraculous. They are written in the quiet spaces that most overlook, the pauses between words, the stillness between events, the small shift in the wind. All are verses in the endless revelation of the real. To the heedless, they are nothing. To the awakened, they are everything. The quiet signs do not come wrapped in brilliance. They arrive disguised as ordinary moments. The taste of water after hardship, the sudden peace after long turmoil. a whisper of comfort in solitude. Each carries divine handwriting. The real hides his communication in subtlety, so that only the heart refined by silence can perceive it. These are not coincidences. They are conversations between the unseen and the attentive. In every pause, there is presence. When the world slows, when the noise retreats, the unseen world draws near. Ibn Arabi said that silence is not the absence of speech. It is the language of the divine. The quiet signs dwell within that sacred hush, waiting for the seeker to stop listening outward and begin hearing inward. The real speaks most clearly in what you call nothing. You may not realize how many signs pass through your days unnoticed. The moment you felt sudden clarity, the timing that seemed too perfect, the small delay that saved you. These are letters written in the ink of destiny. They are placed exactly where you will look once your heart softens. The divine does not hide to frustrate you. He hides to teach you depth. The quiet signs are not given to the eyes that demand proof, but to the heart that accepts wonder. To recognize them is to see beyond sequence and logic. The real speaks not in explanation, but in echo. When something in your life repeats itself, when patterns form that defy reason, pause, you are being addressed. What you call coincidence may be mercy, and what you call confusion may be revelation. In stillness, everything begins to speak. The walls, the wind, the spaces between sounds, all reveal traces of the One. Ibn Arabi wrote that creation is God's continuous self-expression, yet his gentlest verses are written in silence. When the seeker stops seeking signs in thunder, he starts hearing them in breath. Even a sigh becomes scripture when the heart is awake. The real's messages are not new. They are remembered. Every sign you perceive is recognition, not discovery. Your soul has seen it before, in that realm before creation, where all was light. When you feel déjà vu or a sudden wave of knowing, it is not illusion, it is remembrance resurfacing. You are simply remembering the handwriting of the real on the canvas of time. The quiet signs arrive most often when the world forgets you. In loneliness, in waiting, in stillness, their voice becomes clearest. What seems like emptiness is divine preparation, a space cleared so that meaning can descend. The real whispers only where noise has been silenced. The more you let go of control, the more the messages unfold naturally, like dawn revealing what the night was hiding. Sometimes, the signs appear through delay. You ask for something and nothing happens, or so you think. But the stillness itself is an answer. Ibn Arabi said that divine response is not always movement. Sometimes it is pause. The waiting period is the handwriting of patience, teaching the soul to see that love is not denial, it is timing beyond measure. There are signs written in the rhythm of your days, the way people arrive and depart, the way opportunities rise and fall, the way peace visits uninvited. These are not fragments of chaos, but notes in a divine melody. To read them, you must step back and look not at the notes, but at the song. What seems disordered is harmony too vast for the mind to comprehend. The real writes not only through events, but through sensations, a sudden heaviness in the heart, a calm that follows a thought, an inner knowing that appears without evidence. These are divine fingerprints upon awareness. Ibn Arabi said that intuition is the language of the unseen, and the heart is the paper upon which revelation continues to be written. You cannot force a sign to appear. The real does not respond to demand, but to readiness. The signs have always been present. It is your perception that must ripen. When the fruit of awareness matures, you begin to see meaning woven through everything. Every blink, every scent, every shift in shadow carries a lesson written in invisible ink. When you start noticing the quiet signs, the world transforms, time slows, and ordinary moments begin to shimmer. The mundane becomes sacred because you finally perceive the divine artist behind it. You no longer rush through days. You walk as though reading a sacred manuscript, each step another line of poetry composed by the one who never stops speaking. The real use is subtlety, because subtlety awakens intimacy. Loud signs inspire awe, quiet signs invite love. To hear the whisper is to draw close. When Allah teaches you through gentleness, He is not showing power, He is revealing friendship. Ibn Arabi said that the softest lessons are the closest ones, for they are spoken heart to heart. The quiet signs also teach humility. You realize that knowledge alone cannot perceive them. Only surrender can. The intellect demands logic, but the heart understands tone. The real does not argue. He invites. When you stop trying to decode the world and start receiving it, every moment becomes a revelation dressed in simplicity. Even what you overlook is arranged. The missed train, the forgotten call, the delay that frustrates, each carries hidden mercy. The divine signature is subtle yet constant, arranging every pause to protect or prepare you. Ibn Arabi said that love never wastes time, it transforms it. The quiet signs remind you that even waiting has purpose. Sometimes the real writes with absence instead of presence. What you cannot find may be the sign itself. The silence after a prayer, the emptiness following effort, these are not voids but vessels for unseen blessings. To the heart that trusts, silence becomes a promise. I am working in ways you cannot yet perceive. The more you live with awareness of the quiet signs, the more the world feels alive with meaning. Rain becomes remembrance, wind becomes guidance, light becomes conversation. The real speaks through form, not to be discovered, but to be recognized. Every part of existence is a reflection of His mercy, waiting to be read by the eyes of gratitude. The mystic walks through life like one reading scripture written across creation. He does not demand explanation because he has learned the language of trust. The quiet signs are everywhere, not to reveal the future, but to reveal the now as sacred. Ibn Arabi said that when the heart opens, even a shadow can become revelation. You will see that every pause, every delay, every coincidence was deliberate. Each quiet sign was a step in the conversation that shaped your soul. You will understand that Allah never stopped speaking. It was only your attention that was waiting to awaken. The signs were there all along, written softly between the moments you once thought were empty. There are moments in life when everything begins to move without your effort. When paths open, people appear, and events align with impossible precision. Ibn Arabi said this is the unseen arranging what the eyes cannot comprehend. It is the real weaving your story in silence, turning chaos into choreography. You are not the architect, you are the witness. What you call coincidence is divine geometry, unfolding, written by a hand that moves beyond time. When the unseen aligns, the air itself feels different. You sense a calm current beneath the surface of events, a knowing without proof. You feel guided without being told where to go. This is the real's hidden current, carrying you toward what was always meant for you. To the unaware, it looks like luck. To the awakened, it feels like mercy. What flows effortlessly is never random. The unseen does not work in haste. Its rhythm is slow, precise, deliberate. It waits until the soul is shaped enough to hold what is coming. Ibn Arabi said that timing is the secret face of divine wisdom. Everything arrives when it can be understood, not when it is desired. The delay you curse is often the space where alignment is being prepared. The unseen never rushes because eternity is its clock. You may think you are making choices, but often it is the unseen choosing through you. The sudden urge, the unexpected decision, the pull that defies reason, these are the threads of guidance stitched into your will. The real hides his direction within your instincts, so that obedience feels natural. You move freely, yet every motion fulfills a pattern already written in light. When the unseen aligns, resistance fades. What once felt heavy becomes simple. What once felt distant draws near. Doors that remained closed for years open with a single touch. Ibn Arabi said, "This is the moment when your inner state matches divine decree, when heart and destiny breathe in unison. It is not effort that brings alignment, but surrender. The wind does not carry those who fight it. It lifts those who trust it." The unseen often rearranges what you fear losing. It breaks attachments to redirect your gaze. When something or someone leaves abruptly, it may be the real clearing the horizon so you can see further. The unseen removes what blocks your path. Even if it must tear from your hands what you thought you needed, you lose only what hinders alignment. Sometimes, the unseen guides through contradiction. Things fall apart so they can fall together differently. What feels like failure may be redirection disguised in disappointment. Ibn Arabi said the divine plan often walks backward to move forward. What seems like retreat is actually the unseen rearranging your path in secret. The real's wisdom hides in reversals. When the unseen works, life begins to feel symmetrical. The right people arrive. Words reach you at the perfect moment, and everything begins to echo meaning. You start noticing patterns, numbers, timings, signs, as if the world itself were whispering reassurance. This is not superstition but synchronicity, the visible echo of an invisible harmony. In these moments, fear begins to dissolve. You realize that control was never the source of safety. Trust was. The unseen has been moving long before you knew it existed. Even your mistakes become ingredients in divine alignment. The real wastes nothing. Even error becomes direction once surrendered. What was broken is rebuilt as wisdom. The unseen does not shout its presence. It proves it quietly. A message arrives when you need it most. A storm passes just before despair takes root. You are given strength, exactly at the edge of endurance. Ibn Arabi said that Allah sends help in ways so gentle that only hindsight can recognize them. Mercy moves without sound. The alignment of the unseen is not about perfection, but participation. You are not asked to control the tide, only to row when the wind calls. Each act of surrender becomes a signal to the unseen, a declaration of readiness. When the heart stops demanding and begins receiving, the real begins to unveil what he has been arranging all along. Sometimes, alignment requires separation. The unseen removes what is not vibrating at the same mercy. It closes doors so you won't linger in rooms built for smaller versions of yourself. Ibn Arabi said that divine protection often wears the face of rejection. Every no is a wall built to guide you to a higher yes. To the mystic, alignment is not a miracle, it is remembrance. The world does not change, perception does. You begin to see how each event, joyful or painful, has been steering you home. Nothing was wasted, nothing misplaced. Every detour was an arrow pointing toward your true direction. The unseen is always at work. The question is whether you are awake enough to notice. Even confusion serves the unseen. The fog that blinds your vision may be protection from seeing too soon. If the truth were shown before your heart was ready, you might mistake it for chaos. The unseen hides clarity within uncertainty. Teaching patience through mystery, the real knows when to reveal, and his timing never errs. When alignment deepens, Peace replaces anxiety. You stop striving to make things happen and begin trusting their unfolding. The heart grows quieter, more observant, more content with not knowing. Ibn Arabi said the highest state is not knowledge, but alignment with the knower. You no longer need to understand the plan to be part of it. Even conflict is guided. What feels like opposition is often cooperation in disguise. The storm that tests your roots also strengthens them. The unseen uses difficulty as a sculptor uses chisel strokes. Shaping, refining, revealing. To resist hardship is to resist perfection. Every sharp edge is polishing you toward clarity. The unseen arranges encounters like constellations, scattered yet connected. You may not see how until you step back and view them from the height of hindsight. What felt random becomes radiant with pattern. Ibn Arabi said that destiny is the art of the real painting himself across the canvas of your days. The brushstrokes are invisible, but the image is divine. When you align with this truth, you live differently. You walk with ease through uncertainty, knowing that the unseen is already one step ahead. You stop grasping, stop forcing, stop fearing. Life becomes not something to fix, but something to follow. You live as a leaf floating on the current of divine intention. And when all is said and done, you will look back and realize that nothing ever truly went wrong. The unseen was always guiding, even when you were unaware. The delays, the heartbreaks, the sudden blessings, all threads of the same mercy. You will see that the real was never absent from your story. He was the story. And in that realization, the seeker becomes still. There is nothing left to control, nothing left to chase. You understand that alignment was never about destiny meeting you. It was about you remembering who has been aligning everything all along. The unseen was not behind you or ahead of you. It was within you, moving as the quiet will of the eternal. Delay is not denial. It is the language of divine precision. Ibn Arabi said that the real hides his most luminous paths behind the veils of time, so that the heart matures before the gift is revealed. What feels like waiting is not emptiness, but alignment. Your soul being stretched to fit what it once asked for. The delay is the real's way of shaping capacity within you, for blessings too soon received often become burdens. Time itself is a teacher sent by mercy. The hidden path does not announce itself with clarity. It appears only when you have walked long enough in faith to see without sight. Every step taken in uncertainty is polishing your inner vision. The delay is the mist that hides the road until your heart learns to navigate by trust. Ibn Arabi wrote that the journey to the unseen begins when logic bows before patience. The one who rushes sees confusion. The one who waits begins to see wisdom unfold. Every unanswered prayer is an invitation to deeper intimacy. The real withholds not from cruelty but from love, for he desires your turning more than your arriving. When you ache for what has not yet come, your longing becomes worship. Each sigh, each whisper of hope, draws you nearer to the one who planted that hope within you. The hidden path reveals itself not through speed, but through surrender. Delay carves out the chambers where understanding will later live. The heart, once restless, begins to soften. What was once demanded becomes simply desired. What was once desired becomes quietly trusted. Ibn Arabi said that the true traveler does not chase the path, he lets the path find him. Every postponement, every silence is the real drawing the map beneath your feet. The hidden path bends through valleys of patience. You may not see progress, yet every unseen step changes your direction slightly, aligning you with the unseen destination. The delay is gentle mercy, disguised as waiting, for if the heart arrived too soon, it would not recognize what it sought. The real slows time, so that love can deepen before reward appears. To those lost in haste, delay feels like rejection. But to those who see with the eye of faith, it feels like refinement. The delay burns away arrogance, melts pride, and teaches the sweetness of humility. Ibn Arabi said that delay is the polishing cloth of divine friendship. It removes all that prevents the soul from reflecting its maker clearly. What you call waiting, heaven calls transformation. Sometimes the delay hides what would harm you if granted early. The real knows that even light can blind an unready eye. You may pray for abundance while your heart is still fragile. He withholds not to punish, but to protect. The hidden path appears when the vessel of your being can safely hold what it is meant to receive. In the school of delay, time becomes sacred. Every moment spent longing becomes an act of remembrance. The one who waits consciously transforms waiting into worship. Ibn Arabi taught that when you stop demanding time to move, you begin to move with time itself. Then every delay becomes a divine rhythm. Every pause a breath of wisdom. The hidden path is not built of stones, but of moments, tiny alignments, invisible to the impatient. When something doesn't happen, it often means something greater is forming beyond your awareness. The unseen rearranges your story quietly, piece by piece, until the picture is whole. You do not notice it being built. You simply awaken one day and realize you have arrived. The delay humbles the intellect, teaching it that not everything can be reasoned. The path of the real is not mapped on paper, but engraved on the heart. Only through waiting does the mind surrender control, allowing the soul to lead. The mystic learns that progress is not measured in distance but in depth, how deeply he has surrendered to the wisdom of time. Even silence within prayer has meaning. When you speak and hear no answer, the real is answering by deepening your capacity to listen. The delay teaches you that prayer is not about receiving what you asked for, but about realizing who you are speaking to. The one who waits long enough finds that the true reward was never the outcome, but the conversation itself. The hidden path often curves backward before moving forward. You revisit old wounds, repeat old lessons, and question your direction, but the real wastes no motion. What seems like repetition is reinforcement, strengthening your foundations so that what is coming will not collapse upon arrival. Ibn Arabi said that the soul circles around its destination until it becomes worthy to enter. Delay softens the heart into gratitude. When blessings finally come, they are received not as entitlement, but as grace. You begin to understand that waiting was never punishment. It was preparation. The fruit that ripens slowly carries more sweetness because it has absorbed more light. The same is true for the soul. The hidden path teaches that divine timing is not late. It is perfect. The real is never in a hurry because he moves outside the clock. What feels delayed in the world of matter may already be complete in the world of spirit. The lesson is to trust what you cannot yet see, and to walk with faith that what is unseen is still unfolding faithfully. Every delay holds an unseen exchange. While you wait for one thing, another unseen mercy reaches you. You may lose what you wanted, but gain what you truly needed. Ibn Arabi said that Allah often gives through withholding, for sometimes the hand must be empty before it can be filled with light. What you wait for changes. Who you become while waiting is eternal. The hidden path is made visible through reflection. When you look back, you see how perfectly every delay fit into place. The moments you thought were wasted were threads in a divine tapestry, connecting everything you once questioned. What once felt meaningless becomes meaningful, and gratitude replaces impatience. The real was never late. He was exact. Delay teaches presence. The impatient chase the horizon and miss the beauty of the step beneath their feet. But the mystic walks slowly, savoring the stillness between destinations. He knows that the hidden path is not found later. It is revealed now, in the awareness that every breath is a meeting with the real. Even the pain of waiting has its own tenderness. It cracks the heart open to dependence on the unseen. Ibn Arabi said that longing is the rope by which the soul ascends. Each moment of yearning polishes the mirror of remembrance until the beloved reflects back through it. In the ache of delay, love purifies itself. When at last the hidden path unfolds, it does so not with noise, but with knowing. Everything suddenly makes sense. And your soul sighs in relief. You realize that the real was guiding all along, that the detours were the road, the pauses were the progress, and the silence was the conversation. The delay was never distance, it was divine choreography. And in that realization, peace arrives. You no longer rush the unfolding of destiny. You trust that what is meant for you can never pass you by, and what passes was never yours to hold. The hidden path is not revealed by sight, but by surrender. The real does not make you wait to test you. He makes you wait so you can finally see that he was the destination all along. Every event in creation is a single breath of the real, expanding, contracting, revealing, concealing. Ibn Arabi said that existence itself is the exhalation of the divine name, a ceaseless act of mercy expressed through time. Nothing happens outside that sacred respiration. The rising of the sun, the falling of a tear, the birth of joy, and the descent of sorrow, all emotions of that one eternal breath. To live consciously is to feel it passing through you. The breath of the real is not wind nor air. It is awareness that animates all things. It moves through the heart when peace arrives unexpectedly, through the mind when clarity descends after confusion, through the world when patterns align beyond logic. What we call coincidence is simply the rhythm of that breath-forming harmony within chaos. It flows in silence, yet every soul inhales it constantly. When you witness something unfold perfectly, a meeting at the right time, a word that heals, a moment that saves, you are watching the breath of the real organize existence. It is not magic, it is mercy. The universe is not mechanical but musical, sustained by a divine inhalation and exhalation that never ceases. Every happening, no matter how small, participates in that divine rhythm. Even stillness is part of the breath. When nothing moves, when life feels paused, it is the inhale before another creation begins. Ibn Arabi said that the real alternates between contraction and expansion to teach the soul the pattern of its own being. You were born in a breath, sustained by one, and will return within it. Everything you experience is the rhythm of that eternal breathing. The breath moves not only through time, but through meaning. A difficulty you face may be an exhale, release and purification. A blessing may be an inhale, drawing you closer to divine presence. The real balances both, ensuring that the soul neither suffocates in ease nor drowns in pain. To understand this is to see that every event, even the painful, carries divine necessity. There is no separation between sacred and mundane when seen through this lens. The wind brushing your face is the same mercy that guides your destiny. The sound of rain, the unfolding of chance, the meeting of strangers, all are exhalations from the same source. The world breathes with you because it breathes from the same breath. Nothing is empty of his presence. This breath does not discriminate between believer and skeptic, saint and sinner. It moves through all, sustaining existence with impartial compassion. Ibn Arabi said that the real gives life even to those who deny him, for his mercy does not depend on recognition. To breathe at all is to be within his embrace. whether known or unknown. The breath of the real teaches that life is not linear but cyclical, a continuous inhaling and exhaling of divine energy. What dies returns, what departs reappears, what fades becomes foundation for something new. The ocean's waves, the moon's phases, the pulse in your chest, all mirror the same truth. Creation is the repetition of a single divine act. When you become aware of this breath, even suffering changes color. Pain becomes the contraction before expansion, silence the pause before revelation. Ibn Arabi wrote that divine mercy hides behind apparent severity, like lungs tightening only to draw in more air. The soul learns to trust that contraction is not punishment, but preparation. The breath of the real is felt most deeply in moments of surrender. When you stop fighting what is and begin to flow with it, you synchronize with divine rhythm. Struggle turns into stillness, confusion into clarity. Life feels lighter, not because events change, but because you have begun to move with the breath rather than against it. Every event becomes transparent when seen through this truth. The unexpected call, the delay, the loss, the relief, each one is a single pulse in the vast heart of the universe. Nothing stands apart from that pulse. When something leaves your life, it is only the exhale. When something enters, it is the inhale. The wise breathe with awareness and call it worship. In silence, you can feel this breath most clearly. Sit in stillness, and you will sense how the universe inhales and exhales around you. The trees, the oceans, even the stars are synchronized to this hidden rhythm. Ibn Arabi said that remembrance disika is the soul aligning its inner breath with the Divine One. To remember is to breathe consciously within God. When you forget the real, the breath still carries you, but you feel it as heaviness. When you remember, it becomes ease. The breath does not stop, but your perception of it changes. Awareness turns every moment into a sign of presence. Even fatigue becomes sacred, proof that the breath still moves through you, shaping, guiding, sustaining. To those awake, every happening becomes personal. The real is not distant. He exhales himself into your reality constantly. That conversation that shifted your heart, that sunset that stilled your mind, they were not random beauty, but deliberate mercy. Each breath from the unseen is an act of love sent to remind the soul of its source. The breath of the real is the bridge between the eternal and the temporary. It connects the timeless essence of Allah with the fleeting forms of the world. Ibn Arabi said that creation renews itself with every divine exhalation, existence flickering in and out like waves of light. What you see as continuity is actually recreation in every instant. When you align yourself with this understanding, anxiety dissolves. You no longer fear change, for change is merely the movement of breath. The rise and fall of circumstances no longer threaten peace, because you have felt the pulse behind them. The mystic does not cling to form, he rests in the rhythm, trusting that every inhalation of loss will be followed by an exhalation of grace. Even silence between prayers is filled with this breath. Every pause between thoughts is a reminder that something far greater moves within and around you. The mystic does not look for miracles, he breathes them. Each inhalation is mercy entering. Each exhalation is surrender returning. Worship becomes respiration. The breath of the real teaches surrender in motion. When you resist, you suffocate. When you yield, you expand. Every divine decree, whether joyful or heavy, is oxygen for the soul. Ibn Arabi said that faith is simply learning to breathe with God, to inhale trust and exhale gratitude until the two become one seamless rhythm. The breath will lead you into storms, but even those are sacred. Lightning, loss, and loneliness, are not interruptions, but accelerations of the divine inhale. In breaking, the heart becomes porous enough for more of the real to pass through. The wound is where the breath enters most deeply. Every trial is expansion disguised as contraction. The soul learns to breathe consciously, to live as the real lives through it. You no longer see events as separate or accidental. You realize that every heartbeat, every meeting, every pause is His movement through you. Life itself becomes remembrance. Every breath a prayer, every moment an echo of that eternal sigh that began creation. The breath of the real, moving through all that is and all that will ever be. Mystery is the first veil of mercy. Ibn Arabi said that what the intellect cannot grasp is not confusion but invitation, the real calling the heart into deeper vision. When you reach the limits of knowing, you are standing at the doorway of guidance. The mind demands clarity, but the soul thrives in wonder. Mystery is not darkness. It is light too vast for understanding to contain. What feels hidden is only the real showing Himself through shadow. Guidance begins where certainty ends. The real does not speak through answers but through directions whispered in uncertainty. When the path disappears beneath your feet, it is not gone. It is shifting from visible to invisible. Every loss of clarity is a lesson in trust. The mystic learns to walk not by sight, but by inner illumination, where each step reveals the next only after it is taken. The mystery of the real is not meant to confuse, but to awaken. He hides His wisdom so that the seeker might learn the art of listening. If every truth were handed plainly, the heart would never expand. The hidden keeps the soul alive. The unseen keeps it humble. Ibn Arabi said that divine love is both revelation and concealment, a flame seen only when the eye of ego closes. Guidance flows through mystery, like light through fog. You may not see its source, yet it leads you perfectly. Each obstacle becomes a compass, each delay a signpost. What blocks your way is not the end of the path, but part of it. The real hides meaning inside paradox, so that you might learn to find direction in stillness, in confusion. The divine geometry begins to unfold. When the heart becomes quiet, mystery turns into speech. The real begins to speak through dreams, intuition, and moments that feel like déjà vu. You recognize patterns forming between unrelated things, a line of light connecting events you once dismissed as random. This is guidance hidden within ordinary life. The real is never silent. You are simply learning His subtler language. Every unanswered prayer is a form of this mystery. The delay itself contains the guidance you seek. Ibn Arabi said that Allah responds in two ways, by granting or by transforming the one who asks. When your request goes unanswered, it is because the real is shaping you into the kind of soul that no longer needs to ask. Guidance, then, is not given to desire but to depth. Mystery humbles the intellect and refines the heart. The seeker who learns to love not knowing begins to walk in light. Certainty without humility breeds pride. Mystery with faith breeds illumination. The real veils Himself so that the soul might remember that knowledge belongs to Him alone. To surrender to that truth is to taste the beginning of wisdom. The mind calls it confusion. The heart calls it revelation. What you cannot explain often carries the strongest proof of divine design. The pieces that don't seem to fit are the ones shaping the unseen pattern. Ibn Arabi said that every shadow reveals the presence of light. So when you stand in uncertainty, know that you are closer to guidance than you think. Mystery is the womb of revelation. From silence, meaning is born. From emptiness, fulfillment arrives. When the seeker stops demanding clarity, the real begins to draw near. What once frightened becomes familiar, and what once confused begins to glow. Mystery is not the absence of truth, it is truth preparing to be revealed gently, so it does not blind you. The divine often guides through opposites. Ease teaches gratitude, hardship teaches strength, and both lead to remembrance. The real uses contrast to awaken understanding. Without night, you would not recognize dawn. Without loss, you would not treasure mercy. Ibn Arabi said that every duality is an echo of the one teaching himself through reflection. Guidance is not always a voice. Sometimes it is a feeling, a silence, a sudden knowing that calms you without words. When the soul matures, even confusion begins to feel like conversation. The real does not need to explain himself. His touch is enough. Those who live in remembrance begin to sense his movement beneath every uncertainty. The more you surrender to mystery, the lighter life becomes. You stop wrestling with meaning and begin dancing with it. The need to control gives way to the joy of discovery. Ibn Arabi said that the true traveler delights in the unseen, for every veil hides another form of beauty. To walk with mystery is to walk hand in hand with faith. Sometimes the real leads by withholding signs until your heart becomes still enough to feel. He removes all other guidance so that you may discover the compass within. When you stop searching outward, the inner light reveals itself like dawn breaking beneath the ribs. You realize the real was guiding you all along, not by direction but by attraction. The light born from mystery does not blind, it softens. It teaches you to see with tenderness, to recognize divine purpose even in imperfection. The mystic does not demand that the world be logical. He only asks that it be luminous, and it is, once you stop needing it to explain itself. Guidance is not found through answers but through presence. Even mistakes are used by the real as lanterns. The path that seemed wrong often leads exactly where the soul must go. Regret becomes recognition, and confusion becomes clarity, disguised as humility. Ibn Arabi said that God's mercy turns every misstep into a doorway back to Him. Nothing is wasted, even error serves enlightenment. The light that emerges from mystery is gentle because it is born from patience. The soul that has waited long enough to see learns that illumination cannot be forced. It ripens like fruit under the gaze of eternity. When you stop grasping for meaning, meaning begins to arrive on its own, clothed in grace and timing beyond measure. To see the world through the eyes of the mystic is to realize that everything is guidance. Storms instruct, silence comforts, time teaches, and loss purifies. The real has written his message into every form and every phase. The one who reads with the heart sees the script of mercy even in chaos. The journey from mystery to light is circular, not linear. Each time you think you understand, a new veil appears, not to block you, but to deepen your vision. Ibn Arabi said that revelation never ends. It expands. The more light you receive, the more mystery you encounter, until the two become inseparable, the veil and the illumination becoming one truth. When guidance becomes light, you stop needing signs, for everything becomes a sign. The wind that moves, the silence that settles, the pulse of the heart, all speak the same sentence. The real is here. You walk not through darkness or clarity, but through radiance that shines softly through both. When the soul surrenders fully, mystery and light become one breath. You no longer ask to understand. You ask to remain aware. The real no longer hides, for you have learned to see him unveiling itself. Every unanswered question becomes a verse of worship. Guidance and light are no longer destinations. They are the pulse of existence itself, moving through you endlessly. There comes a moment when silence itself begins to speak. Ibn Arabi said that the entire universe is a divine discourse, every atom reciting a verse, every shadow hinting at light. When the veil thins, you finally hear what was always there, creation whispering your name back to its source. You realize that nothing in your life was random. Every event was a sentence in the conversation between you and the real. You thought the world was mute, that only revelation or ritual carried divine speech. But now you understand the real never stopped speaking. The sound of rain, the delay of time, the ache in your heart, all were messages in disguise. He spoke through what you loved and what you lost, through the faces that stayed and the doors that closed. Everything was translating his mercy into moments. This realization does not arrive through intellect, but through awakening. It is not learned, it is remembered. You recall, as if from before birth, that the entire cosmos was built as a mirror in which the divine contemplates himself. When you finally see this reflection, you become still. For the first time, you stop asking for signs. You start recognizing that you were the sign all along. Every silence that once frustrated you now feels like an answer. The unanswered prayers, the pauses, the detours, all part of the same sacred rhythm. Ibn Arabi said that the real speech is continuous, but only the purified heart can perceive its subtler tones. Once you cleanse your listening, you hear guidance in everything, even in the absence of sound. When you reach this moment, gratitude overwhelms you. You no longer divide the world into sacred and ordinary. Every leaf becomes scripture, every breath a revelation. You realize that revelation was never bound to words. It lives in the unfolding of time. The real does not only speak to you, he speaks through you, shaping your story as living dhikr. In this state, your perception transforms completely. The same world you once found dull now burns with meaning. The sunlight through the window, the pattern of waves, the flicker of a candle, each one carries an intimacy beyond language. The mystic no longer seeks miracles. He walks in them, what others call coincidence. He calls remembrance. The moment you awaken to this truth, life becomes conversation. You begin to see responses everywhere, in timing, in emotion, in pattern. The real speaks not only through creation, but through contrast. Joy tells one verse, sorrow another. Together they compose the rhythm of divine nearness. Ibn Arabi said that opposites are not enemies, they are alternating breaths of the same truth. Even what once wounded you begins to glow. Pain itself becomes articulate, a messenger that softened you so you could finally listen. The heartbreak that once silenced your prayers becomes the echo that brought you back. You realize that every fall, every loss, was a syllable in the sacred name being pronounced through your life. You begin to walk differently. There is no rush, no panic, because you sense the real guiding even your smallest motion. The leaf does not question the wind that carries it, and neither do you. You no longer ask, why me? But what is he teaching me here? The entire world becomes a teacher, and you its humbled student. The greatest revelation is not that the universe speaks, but that it has been addressing you all along. The bird song, the laughter of strangers, the quiet that follows a storm, all have your name hidden within them. Ibn Arabi said that the divine address is personal. Each soul hears it in a language only it can understand. You are not hearing the world, you are hearing your reflection in God's speech. Even the passing of time begins to sound like worship. Morning carries the note of hope, evening the hymn of surrender. Each day recites the same truth in a different tone, that life itself is prayer moving through form. Once you hear it, you realize you were never alone. You were surrounded by remembrance disguised as moments. This recognition fills you with tenderness. You begin to treat everything, the rain, the dust, the delay as sacred conversation. The divine has been patient with your deafness, sending message after message until the heart finally opened. When it does, every sound becomes a verse and every silence a prostration. The mystic who arrives here no longer seeks escape from the world, he finds God within it. The real is no longer an idea distant in heaven, but a presence humming through every detail of life. Even the mundane, the flickering lamp, the turning key, the slow fading of the day becomes worship once seen clearly. You realize that destiny itself is a dialogue. The things that happened to you were not interruptions, but responses, answers to prayers you did not know you prayed. Every joy and every ache was the real's way of shaping your return. Ibn Arabi said that Allah writes himself into your story so that you may recognize his handwriting in every line. Once you hear this language, you cannot unhear it. You begin to live as one in constant communication. Listening with the heart, not the ears. The wind becomes your teacher. Silence your scripture, coincidence your confirmation. Nothing external needs to change. It is perception that has become luminous. The divine voice is not loud, yet it fills everything. It vibrates in the breath of creation, in the pulse beneath the ribs. To those asleep, it is just noise. To those awake, it is music. Ibn Arabi said that all existence is a single sound, the echo of be still reverberating through every atom. You have always been living within that sound. Even your doubts were part of the dialogue. They pushed you to seek, and seeking brought you to listening. The real used even your confusion to guide you home. Now you see that he never abandoned you. He was speaking through every silence, waiting for you to stop filling it with your own voice. When you finally understand this, awe replaces ambition. You stop striving to control. For what could you control in a world already speaking perfection? You begin to listen more than you speak, observe more than you interpret. The mystic's greatest prayer is no longer words but attention, awareness that everything is divine correspondence. And in the deepest stillness, when all thought falls away, the truth arrives not as sound but as knowing. You realize that the real was never far, never hidden, only waiting for the heart to become quiet enough to hear. The stones, the stars, the seasons, the sighs, all had one message, one chorus. Beloved, you were never alone. You were being spoken to all along. When awareness dawns, you no longer stand in the world, you stand with it. Every rustle of wind, every shimmer of light becomes part of your own breath. You begin to see that you were never listening to creation, you were listening through it. The real had been speaking to you from every corner of existence, patiently waiting for the heart to turn its ear. In this silence of knowing, questions fade. You realize that what you sought was never hidden, only unrecognized. Every delay, every joy, every wound was a verse written just for you, in the secret alphabet of the soul. The conversation between you and the divine has no beginning and no end. It only changes form, flowing like a river that never forgets its source. And as you walk forward, the ordinary world glows with new light. The sky above becomes scripture, the earth beneath becomes prayer, and every passing moment becomes remembrance. For now you know the beloved never stopped calling. It was your hearing that needed to awaken. Everything has been speaking, always, softly, faithfully, eternally, in the language of love that only silence can translate. You were never waiting for a sign. You were surrounded by one all along.